Hey yo, what is up guys, it's your boy Twa here, and this will be a video of the tower. You would call it Tower of Affinity because I don't know the actual Korean name. Now, the thing is, I had this all lined up, audio and everything ready. Found out my mic was broken. So yeah, trying to do this and a little bit on the back port. Now, currently what I'm using is a certain build that I really like. This one is basically for back paddling and card stacking. So once again, all of the blue ones are simply for card stacking. This one is a main damage source, and I took it on to the maximum damage instead of the iframe or the interruption one. This one is also for maximum card stacking and actually a very good crowd control ability if you are up against a lot of small monsters. But then again, is this a necessary skill? Not quite sure, but I kind of like it. There's a little gimmick to it, which I may just explain in a bit. The carpal tunnel syndrome, actually on a maximum level, this is a very nifty skill. I would actually pick it over the other skill that we just mentioned. Now, there are a few other skills that is definitely on the list, like the double card swipe and the snap the fingers. This is one of my favorites. Now later on into my floors, I actually changed it up to a little bit of a boss mechanic. There are some skills that are more beneficial than others in terms of bossing. Now, first off, let's start about talking about the tower. There are two things that you can do. You can either do the dark tower, or you can do cube, or you can do something else. Now, what I showed just here are the entry tickets. Now, for what I know, there are multiple ways to get them. One of them is by completing the actual tower runs. There are certain floors that give them by default, which is great. The other way is probably through the email, and you get about 5 per day once you hit the level 50. Now, this is the very first time that I ever hit the tower, so imagine me failing once or twice at the very least. So this automatically says like what can you get. You can even get skill points from here, which is very beneficial. Some other items that I'm not sure about. The purple boxes are the boxes I'm definitely going for, because those are the items or the armor items. You can even get a pirate bowl. Some skill resets, some crafting materials, and let's see, can we get legendaries from it? Yup, we got legendary up in the building. Very easy. Now, I just find out that my skills are not set the way I should have been doing. I don't even have the double card swipe, sadly. I wanted to change it, not a possibility. So there are a few things that are limited into using here, as well as the 3-time limit on your ultimate skill. Now the very first floor is definitely an easy one. Pop the cherry. Damage. Tunnel syndrome. And this is by far one of the... I'm not even sure why I popped this shit. It just looks fancy, boys. The very first floor done. Now the first thing I was wondering is, these AoEs, will they kill me, or will I have more hard parts onto the later stages because I cannot dodge everything into the 300 ms. Answer is, I had a hard time, yes. Was it impossible? No. So that's actually a good treat. If it doesn't work. the muscles are quite bust out. So you just use it like that. Kill him with the F button. I love the finger snapping so much. Probably one of my main skills ever. Like, there you go. Out of my old fire egg does about even more damage than anything else, and it's so fast. Very easily utilized like that. Snap with fingers. And then just decide like, okay, I can just kill you. Now this skill is one that I mentioned. It is very easy for card stacking, and the funny thing is, if you put it up at a certain way, at a certain path, you can do maximum crits, and every time you crit, you actually get an extra stack on top of a buff, which is crazy. The buff lasts for about 3 seconds in total, but you can gain yourself a 100% damage effect, which is crazy. The only downside is you'll have to either stun your opponent or do something else with it. This is part of catching the flies with the carpal tunnel. Oh wait, it's the quantum tunnel, boys. Pop the cherry, run the fuck out. Guess we can double up the skills. No, I can't even get myself into a nasty situation. Now best will be the quantum tunnel, or that, because that does a massive amount of damage. Now the S button I just used to get through the monsters is probably one of the strongest early on. The moment you maximize that early game, you will do so much damage to bosses because one, it will up the crit rate. So even if you do have low crit rate, it will crit. And it's just gorgeous, so many crits, and the buff is apparent. Kill the thing. But the moment you twirl around for longer, you will do more damage. And earlier on in the stages of the game, it is so easy to keep just spinning. So easy. Can't remember where the first time I died actually is. One of the questions that I got asked is like, okay, is this game like hard or is it just face rolling everything? Now, I'm not quite sure. There are ways, for instance, in this tower that make it a lot easier to kill it, but just playing smart. Because what happens here, there is a certain time interval where this boss is actually trying to hit me. It doesn't hit hard, but it can be. Now during that interval he has a little bit of a recovery frame where he is not using any attacks. You can basically use that time to simply wait and then hit the boss accordingly whenever you deem possible. Stacks. Pop a loot cherry. Now a thing I could have used is both the Demon Summer for a fear, or something that I call the Fan, which also stuns a boss. And you can combine both of the skills to stun about everything. It's a very nifty tech. Now this only works against certain bosses that still can be stunned. For other bosses you take skills that have high range and high mobility. If they don't, they're shit. You don't take Larvas. Get all the top in the cherry. A lot of damage.
시작.
And so far it's been pretty smooth. It's not that big. We'll see how it goes. Now, something I don't use very often is the cards in the middle. That's one of the reasons why I think Arcana is a little bit iffy right now. Because the RNG on those cards is hard. It's very hard to utilize them. And since I don't know exactly what each one of them does, it makes it just all the more hard. For some reason I decided to use them. I'm not even sure why. One of them had a shield and maybe, yeah, it would have been open the book on him. Now also something I came to know later on into these stages because my inventory kept filling up. If you miss one of these item parts once you clean the whole house, then if you don't have enough inventory space, it will be sent to your mail. So there's no need to worry. Just look at your mail if you think you're missing something, and that may be the item that you're missing. This skill is so good for interrupting like small monsters. Downside is you have a better skill for it, so I would not prioritize that skill later on into the game. Because you'll be very static, you can be hit. Because there are certain monsters that will just keep you in line of sight, and later on into the game, it will hurt and you will die 100%. Sadly, I don't have a vision on a video, but I can guarantee you that one. I got up to, what was it? 41. That's where I actually died. Mainly because I didn't have any more tries, otherwise I would have tried it this weekend once again, but yeah, not able. Were there certain parts that were really hard? Yeah, I died at some of them like way too much, and most of the time it came from the part where I just got greedy and I wasn't patient enough. So this is my very first item part. And you will probably see one of the last parts here too, where I thought to myself, like, how can you possibly clear this floor? And sometimes there are just small gimmicks. I think this is one of them where I actually died for no apparent reason as well. If I had my proper skill built right here, I would have had absolutely no problem killing him. From the get-go, pop the cherry. Maybe just pop the ultimate, but that would even be helpful. And maybe the loop-de-loop. Like, that is a problem. Yep. And now I died. That's because I got greedy, and I never really use my C button all that much. But it locks you down for a gazillion hours. Right, let's fast forward this. And there we go. Well, I actually skipped the part where I opened the boxes and got my items. And then again, maybe we get a little rundown of what they look like. That is a life skill reset. Actually a pretty good item if you're really into life skilling. I didn't get the time to really look into it all that much. Let's pop a carry on this shit. I got the right skill, or well, let's say semi-right skills. Like, I know how to adjust my build now for small mini bosses. This is really great. Another few additions that I really would like to try out, because I found out that my W skill has a certain addition if you maximize it. Like right now it's just a forward dash, but if you get it onto the third layer, you can actually get a forward dash and if you hold it and port back to the origin. Or, and that's something I need to figure out, if you are interrupted, let's say you have 4 meters of travel, and you get a pole within the first meter, will you dash back 1 meter or will you dash back 2? And that's something I need to figure out onto the next CBT, or whenever that may fucking be. Because we don't know yet, nobody knows sadly. But who knows, they gave a few spoilers for CBT 3. And I don't think they did that from CBT 1 until 2. Those get pretty smaller mobs, my E button definitely will attack. I'm not using it now, absolutely no need to. But unless they're shooting, there we go. Just stall like this. I'll go in, wait for it for a little bit, and then just put down the card swipe. I'll give a little teaser onto one of my next videos that I will do, and that is an arcade skill video. In there I will explain every single skill, show them in terms of the statics. I will just show you the rough basics on what I like for skill. Wow, that hurts. I thought those AoEs were actually good because of lag. What I've also changed, or at least think I changed, is my F button. My F button is normally on an 8-second cooldown, but onto the very first tier, you can get it to 4. So that is a 50% reduction of the cooldown. This allows you to simply blast down all your mana. There we go, 4 seconds. Very gorgeous attack. And I wasn't sure how I was picking this out. I was like, okay, am I done now? Wait, I can pick another one. Let's do it. Thought I missed something. I don't know why. And then I had to kill them. Very unnecessary. Then I came to my senses like, hey, am I done yet? Yo. Next up, another armor piece. Not even sure if I make this in one go. Like here, the best thing would be the quantum tunnel into the range into some extra time. Like the quantum tunnel has 2 additions. One is on the second tier, you can put an extra time to it, and on the third tier, you're actually able to move the quantum tunnel forward from you. This is probably the best mobbing skill when it comes to low, slow mob mobs you can achieve. Would not prioritize the skill, but still a fun when you have it. Oh, those sounds are horrifying, man. That's crazy. I'm going to give you a sad spoiler. I'm going to die, and I think it is floor 16. It will murder me, mass murder me, because I had no clue how to do it. There's a small gimmick to it, but I don't have that on tape. I cheated, huh? Some of these bosses also have a natural stun. I think it basically triggers whenever you exceed an X amount of time over an X amount of period. Sadly, I haven't found many in this tower that actually do have it and that you can explore. See, there we go, natural stun. And this was one of the sole reasons why I actually picked out that skill. Is because I get a massive damage boost at just holding U button. Getting a lot of stacks. With those stacks you can pop on the button. This is one of those times where I'm actually out of MP. Mainly because of my F button. Die here too, look at 3 months. Not sure why I tried that. There we go, got myself a new pirate. Gotta love yourself some pirates, right? I'm not quite sure if this is the one. It was either 15 or 16. Oh, this is the one that kills me over a gazillion times. Oh yeah, good job, and this is where I die a gazillion times. Let's fast forward this to all the times that I actually do die. Alrighty guys, so here's a few ways that I tried it. Pop the ultimate, go into the middle, everything goes straight up bonkers because of, well, you could call it the silence. Sometimes it will activate the bottom. Standing there definitely kills me. Another 10. Sirens. Yes, or not everything is start. Shoot at me. And again, I go to the middle, making myself see. There are a lot of things currently still shooting at me. And still alive as well. As you can see, there are certain ways to throw it. And then go to the middle, I think things will actually start popping off. Yep. Dead person out. Now I don't have footage of me actually making this for. But yeah, this is only part 1 of a mini that I will make. So get this so far.
실패.